What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. Today we got a very special story time, and we're gonna actually change some of the names in it. Some of them we may or may not. I don't know. Well, we'll change some of them because to protect the innocent. Well, some people may not want to know their names, whatever. Anyways, we're gonna go back to circa like 2000 or maybe a little bit before that, maybe a little bit after that. Anyways. It was kind of the height of, just about the height of my drug abuse. I understood very, very clearly that I had an issue, couldn't quit, and what I tried to do was to get through the dope sickness of coming off opiates, which was the Nubane, and I think at the time Oxycontin. It wasn't heroin yet. Basically, I would try to get drunk for that amount of time, which that wasn't working. Because, I mean, there's no way you can drink yourself for like 11 to 15 days. I mean, it doesn't work. You still feel the withdrawals. And then I tried ketamine, which was another big one. Now, ketamine back then, it was fairly easy to get because it had just come out by this company called the Tokyo Company. Now, Tokyo was making steroids out in Mexico. They were producing them out there. And they started to produce ketamine as part of their line because bodybuilders were using it to party and stuff. So next thing you know, ketamine had flooded the streets in Rhode Island. And ketamine is a very powerful drug. It's not like heroin makes you goofy and dopey and you want to fall asleep. Ketamine can make you fucking retarded. Like, there were times that I thought I was actually retarded. Like I would not be normal ever again based on this drug. I mean, it made you see and do some strange fucking things. And if you ever saw anybody on it and you didn't know what it was, it's pretty fucking scary. It's very strange. So my thing was we didn't have the dope, so we were shooting this, and you injected it. It was a liquid. I mean, some people they turn it into a powder somehow and sniff it, but we were injecting it. The more you inject, the more tolerance you get. Then you have to inject more, and essentially it's like a sedative for an animal, like a cat. I think it's feline tranquilizers or something like that. It's a cat tranquilizer. That's pretty much what it is. It makes you they could do surgeries, but you're still conscious, but you don't fucking know what's going on. So I got to the point where we were living downstairs with my parents, me and my girlfriend at the time, and we were pretty bad. And my parents were just like, enough. Like, fucking, you know what? Like, if you don't cut the shit, we're going to fucking call the police. And we're like, fuck you. And my parents were like, look, we're going to call the police. Fucking get out. You can't fucking stay here. This is fucking ridiculous. So they threw us out. So, being the geniuses that we were, we drove to a motel and checked in the motel, and then proceeded to continue doing drugs. And it was the ketamine again. Now, after we got to the hotel, I mean, that was the point where I honestly, I remember laying on the floor in the motel room, thinking, well, fuck, I've been here for a really long time, and I think I've been here for more than a day, laying on the floor. I think actually it fried something in my brain by taking too much of this drug, and this is pretty much how it's going to be. This is what it's like to be mentally retarded. This is what it's like to be impaired, like handicapped. Fuck, I made myself handicapped. I actually had those thoughts. I remember having those thoughts. And then, you kind of come out of it a little bit, and what do? You boot right back up and shoot more of this shit. Now, my parents at the time were worried about what would happen. They didn't understand that ketamine, and you're not going to overdose on ketamine, you're going to wind up making yourself retarded. And they thought we were in real danger of killing ourselves. So they called the police. The police said, did they have drugs on them? My parents were like, well, I don't know, but, they have a history of stuff. So the police were like, well, we can't do anything really. And then, us being the geniuses we are, we parked the car right out in front of the motel. So, I mean, fucking, it's like a mile away from where my parents live. They just drive down the street. There we are. They see the fucking car. So the police are like, we can go over there and do a wellness check. So we'll go over there and do a wellness check. If we see anything that, looks like they're harming themselves or they're doing something illegal, we'll take matters into our own hands. But if we show up and they're just like, look, we had a fight with our parents and blah, 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 he goes, there's not much we can do if everything's okay. So the police come to the motel, knock on the door. Now, at this point, I'd come out of it. My girlfriend was on the bed all fucked up with, ketamine. And there was like a couple bottles of ketamine on the table. I had a syringe in my hand. Somebody knocks at the door. I didn't even look through the people. I just opened the fucking door, and there's a cop standing there. Got a needle in my hand and a bottle of ketamine in my hand, smiling at him. And he was like, oh, fuck. And it turns out it's a guy from the gym. It's a police officer that I knew. Benson was his name. And he looks at me. He's like, Jerry, put that fucking on the table, please. Step back. So, okay. I was all fucked up. So, I wasn't aggressive or anything. I put it on the table. He said, is there any more drugs? I'm like, they're in the pillow. underneath the pillow is the rest of the drugs, and then they looked at my girlfriend to make sure she was okay, and she was all fucked up and starting to snap out of it. And then I remember Benson saying, like, I have to put you under arrest. Do you understand what's going on right now? And I was like, yes, I understand. I mean, I was not by any means thinking that he wasn't right or this shouldn't happen. This absolutely should have happened, and I knew it. Turn around, put my hands behind my back. He cuffed me, put me in the back of the car, and he talked to the other officer. He said, "Go ahead and take her. I'm going to take Jerry." And he goes, "I need some time alone with him." So I thought, oh fuck, this guy's he's gonna fucking take me somewhere and fucking shoot me in the head. Like, I was thinking all weird shit because I was high. And on the drive there, he proceeded to tell me that one of his family members was a heroin addict and was in recovery, and everything was okay. And I don't have to be a drug addict. I don't have to be a fuck up. I can beat it if I want to beat it, but I have to want to beat it. And there's a great life to live. I mean, he gave me the whole speech that a good police officer would, but the difference was it was a buddy of mine from the gym. Like, he knew me on a personal level. He knew what kind of person I was. He knew, that I wasn't a dick. He knew that I had a problem. So we went to the police station. He processed me. They take your belt, your shoes. They take all your earrings and stuff like that so you can't harm yourself. And they put me in a cell. I was in jail. So it was cold out. I remember it being cold out. And it was cold in that fucking cell. You basically had a mat on the floor. And they gave you this weird-looking fucking blanket that was made out of, like, particle board or something. It wasn't even like a blanket. And I remember just sitting there freezing my ass off going, what the fuck, looking around in this cell. It was like an 8x10 cell with a fucking metal toilet and a metal sink. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is where I'm headed. Like, this is end game. I need to figure out what the fuck is going on and stop doing what I'm doing. So, and it was interesting because other officers had come by that, I knew from the gym, and people that, came over and were like, hey, Benson said that, you're a bodybuilder and this, that, and the other thing. Do you ever think about doing law enforcement? I mean, I'm a drug addict in jail. And there were nothing but polite, helpful, nice, comforting. Like, none of them were dicks. Like, a lot of police officers get a lot of, flack nowadays for being assholes and beating on people and stuff. And, this whole precinct was nothing but nice to me. And they all came by to, to talk to me and stuff. And it was just like, wow, this is crazy, We were able to bond ourselves out on personal recognizance later on that afternoon, or later on in the evening. The guy who's the bail bondsman or whatever, or they call him, happened to still be around, so he came by. We bonded ourselves out. Had to go to court the next day. Gone up getting probation and said, if you don't fuck up ever again, then you're good. If you fuck up within the next year or 12 months or whatever it was, I don't remember what it was, then you're going to jail. You're going to serve this amount of time, mandatory for, disturbing them, whatever the fucking charge was. I don't even remember at the time because ketamine wasn't even considered a narcotic, wasn't even scheduled at the time. So it was like, they had to pin something else on us because technically it wasn't even a classified drug yet. It wasn't anything. It was just one of those things that are like, well, you're not supposed to have it, so we're going to fucking do something to you. So I remember that, they asked us, they were like, where did you get it? Like, who did you buy it from? Like, this was online, was just starting. I was like, what are you talking about? There's a website on the fucking bottle. I said, all you got to do is write to them, fucking give them your credit card, and they send you shit. They were like, that's when they really started realizing. They were like, fuck, this is big. People can get drugs online now. This is going to make drug use a lot harder to stop. Eventually they did the Operation Gear Grinder, and they shut down the Tokyo company, which made that ketamine, and a bunch of other companies. And they took the guys who owned the companies, imprisoned them. And as far as I know, they're still in jail, and they ain't going to get out of jail because it was huge. It was a huge fucking company that was providing all kinds of drugs all over the world, geared towards bodybuilders and people that were partying and stuff, like Z's type people. And I look back now, and that was kind of a turning point because I realized, shit, some of my boys are already in jail. And that wasn't prison. That was just jail I was in. Prison's worse. Some of the other ones are dying, and then here I am, kind of got a second chance from people around me that don't really have to give a shit or have to tell me to do the right thing or even waste their breath, but they're doing it anyway. So maybe I should take that into account and think about it. I mean, after that, I still continued to go downhill and use heroin. So I hadn't figured out that there was a reason why I was doing it. I wasn't doing it to be a dick. I wasn't doing it to get high and feel good. I was doing it to medicate myself from pain that I was feeling about something I hadn't identified yet. And until I did that, nothing was going to happen. So, I mean, I couldn't get better. I couldn't get clean. It just wasn't going to happen. So, to use the guys that are out there that are in a similar spot where you're taking stuff and you feel like, I mean, even if somebody called the cops on you, you're pissed at them, you're like, fuck you. You know what? I mean, it's the best thing that can happen. The best thing that can happen to you as a drug addict is you get arrested or you fucking run out of money. One of those two things is going to happen. And usually if you run out of money, you're going to steal, so you're going to wind up getting arrested anyways. But that time in solitude really makes you start thinking, and I'm glad it happened. I look back at it now, and it sucked, and I was mad at my parents, and I was mad at everyone around me, but I was the one doing the drugs, so it didn't, it took a while for it to sink in that it's my fault. BioStraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostraining.com is the blog, and where Storytime Bicep, and we're out.